Good morning. It is 6:45 a.m. on Wednesday, September 21st, 2016. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. It's inexplicably kind of humid and sweaty in here right now. Not to an extreme degree. I think it's just my air conditioner is not quite coping yet with the idea of it being a little bit cooler but very humid outside. So I had the fan on, which makes it fine, but I wanted to turn it off for recording. So yesterday, I got some good news, or promising news, I should say, because it's still, tentative. But there's a potential writing project that I would like to work on, and it requires several stages worth of, first a writing CV to say, who am I, who do I think I am, and what business do I have applying for this project, and then the next stage was, hey, a writing sample, to say, what is your writing like? And I submitted that, and so now they have invited me to pitch some ideas, and that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. But one of the things that you sometimes, or if you're like me, you sometimes have to deal with is that, like, there's that first good news, the flush of like, oh, good, they want me to continue, and now I'm excited, and I'm going to try to come up with some ideas, but then there's that turn of the screw where it can start being, okay, now sit down to come up with ideas. Oh no, all these ideas are terrible. What business do I have even trying to apply to this? And it's just something that, like, is predictable enough at this point that I can sort of recognize it in advance and push through it as the nonsense that it is. But it's interesting, I think, that this imposter syndrome's kind of become a buzzword lately, and I don't want to call it that, really. But it's just kind of sometimes what I tell people when I think I'm confident that they've made the right decision for themselves, but they're just nervous about it regardless. Or in things like someone's having stage fright for a play that has been, well rehearsed. It's kind of like, well, you're nervous about it because you care about it, because you care how it turns out. And that's where that feeling is coming from. And what that's just evidence of is that you're passionate about it. You've worked hard, and now you want that work to pay off. And that, so basically it's just important to kind of interpret that feeling correctly, I think, as opposed to taking it as that discomfort as evidence that somehow you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Now, I mean, obviously you have to take these cases by, case-by-case basis. There certainly could be times where someone is actually unprepared for some thing or another. But in this case, it's just kind of an element of crossing a threshold, you know what I mean? And it's, nothing is certain, it's like, it's not, there's several more stages that would need to go through. So is in this project I'm potentially working on. And so I need to just think about, well, what would I want it to be? And so it's that dynamic between, I now have the opportunity to think of all of these great ideas of how great this could be and what story I would want to tell and all of that sort of thing. But the possibility space expanding in that way can suddenly lead, like, I'm thinking about it in physics terms, is that when the space suddenly expands, it kind of pulls a vacuum briefly, and that feeling can be kind of scary. So fortunately I'm in a position where like, I don't have to depend on this for my household income or anything like that. So there's some pressures, like for example, if I was having to look for a new day job, which I'm not having to do at the moment, thank goodness. But that, for example, would be a higher stakes thing in the sense of just the day-to-day living. But that said, as far as the things that I like, that I'm excited by, that I care about, that I want to work on, in my writing, I'm looking forward to this. And so I'm excited by the prospect of putting together some of these idea pitches, but because I care how they turn out, it makes me a little nervous about it. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now, but I'm also thinking up some cool ideas. All right, I will talk to you guys tomorrow for 5 more minutes.